The message arrived at the Galactic Council chambers on a quiet morning. 12 species received the same communication at exactly the same time. The words were simple and direct. The Valdris Imperium demanded their surrender. They had 10 days to comply. Ambassador Minho sat in his office on the council station, reading the message for the third time. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had represented Earth for 15 years. In all that time, he had never seen anything like this. The Valdris Imperium was old, 50,000 years old. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. Their military was the largest in known space. When they demanded something, species obeyed. It was that simple. Minho's assistant, a young woman named Yunji, entered the office. Her face was pale. "The other ambassadors are responding," she said. "The Kelvin Confederacy surrendered an hour ago. The Thorn Collective just sent their acceptance. The others will follow." Minho nodded slowly. He expected this. The Valdris had destroyed entire civilizations for refusing their demands. No one wanted to be next. "What will we do?" Yunji asked. "We'll decline," Minho said. Yunji stared at him. "Sir, they have 3,000 warships. We have less than 500. I know. They'll destroy us." Minho looked at her. His expression was gentle but firm. "Send the message, Yunji. Tell them we respectfully decline their offer." Across the galaxy, on a human military station orbiting Mars, Commander Hyun-woo received the news. He was in his mid-40s with short black hair and a face that rarely showed emotion. He had been expecting this call. "The ambassador declined," the voice on the comm said. It was Admiral Park, the head of Earth's military forces. "The Valdris will respond within days." "Understood," Hyun-woo said. "They'll send a fleet. Probably 300 ships. Standard conquest force. How many ships can I have?" 47. Hyun-woo didn't react. He had commanded smaller forces before. "When do I leave?" "Within the hour. Take your best people." "And Hyun-woo?" The Admiral paused. "And this quickly." "Yes, sir." Captain Ji-won was in the training simulator when Hyun-woo found her. She was young, only 32, but she was the best tactical mind in the fleet. When the simulation ended, she looked up and saw her commander watching. "We're going," she said. It wasn't a question. "We're going," Hyun-woo confirmed. 47 ships, against 300. Ji-won smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. "They're going to be surprised. They always are." In the Valdris throne world, Empress Valkyra received the news with amusement. She sat on a throne made of black crystal, surrounded by her generals and advisors. She was ancient by human standards, over 300 years old, but her species lived much longer. She had ruled for 2 centuries. "The humans refused," her aide announced. The throne room erupted in laughter. Even the Empress smiled. General Thrak, a massive warrior with 4 arms and thick armor plating, stepped forward. "Let me take the conquest fleet, my Empress. I will bring you their world in chains." "How many ships do you need?" Valkyra asked. 300 should be sufficient. They have less than 500 total. They cannot stand against us." "Then go," the Empress said. "Make it quick. I want the other species to see what happens to those who refuse." Back at the Galactic Council, the news spread like fire. The humans had refused. The Valdris were coming. Every ambassador knew what would happen next. Counselor Velthar, a scholar from a peaceful species, approached Ambassador Minho in the corridor. His species had small bodies and large heads, built for thinking rather than fighting. "Ambassador," Velthar said quietly, "please reconsider. The Valdris show no mercy. Your people will suffer." Minho stopped walking. He looked at the alien counselor with kind eyes. "We appreciate your concern, counselor, but we cannot accept their terms." "Why?" Velthar's voice was desperate. "Is pride worth extinction?" "It's not about pride," Minho said. "It's about what comes next. If we surrender, they'll demand more. Then more again. Where does it end?" "You live," Velthar said. "That's where it ends. You survive." Minho placed a hand on the counselor's shoulder. "We've survived worse. We'll survive this too." As Minho walked away, Velthar felt a chill. There was something in the human's voice. Not fear, not even anger. Just certainty. Commander Hyun-woo's fleet assembled near the human colony of New Seoul. 47 ships against 300. The crews knew the numbers. They prepared anyway. Lieutenant Daeho, a weapons officer on Hyun-woo's flagship, sat in the mess hall with his friends. They were eating what might be their last meal. "We're going to die," one of them said. "Maybe," Daeho replied, "but we'll take some of them with us." "Some?" Another officer laughed bitterly. They outnumber us 6-1. Daeho didn't answer. He had served under Commander Hyunwoo for 5 years. He had seen things that other species would not believe. He knew something his friends didn't. Humans were very, very good at war. The Valdris fleet arrived 3 days later. 300 ships, each one larger than any human vessel. They came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the new Sol system in perfect formation. It was meant to terrify. General Throck stood on the bridge of his flagship looking at the sensor displays. The human fleet was there, 47 small ships scattered across the system. "They're running," one of his officers said. "No formation, no coordination." Throck smiled with all 3 of his mouths. "Pathetic. They know they cannot win. Advance, destroy them all." The Valdris fleet moved forward in their traditional wall formation. It was a tactic they had used for thousands of years. It always worked. On his flagship, Commander Hyunwoo watched the enemy advance. Captain Jiwon stood next to him, her hands moving across the tactical display. "They're using the wall," she said. "Standard doctrine." "They're not even scanning properly." "Good," Hyunwoo said. "Let them feel confident." "Sir," Lieutenant Daeho called from his station. "All ships report ready. Cascade protocol loaded." Hyunwoo looked at the display. The Valdris fleet was exactly where he needed them. He had studied their tactics for years. He knew every formation, every response, every weakness. The Valdris thought war was about size, about numbers, about who had the biggest fleet. They were wrong. Hyunwoo had learned war on Earth. Humanity had been fighting for 10,000 years. They had fought with sticks and stones, with swords and shields, with bullets and bombs, with missiles and lasers. They had fought each other until they learned every possible way to win, and they had learned one crucial lesson. War wasn't about fighting. War was about winning. "All ships," Hyunwoo said calmly, "execute Cascade protocol." Across the system, 47 human ships moved as one. The Valdris were about to learn their first lesson about humanity. It would not be pleasant. The human ships moved like water. That was the first thing General Throck noticed. They didn't charge forward like proper warriors. They didn't form defensive lines like cowards. They simply flowed into new positions, each ship moving to a different location in the system. "What are they doing?" Throck demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensors. "Unknown, General. No discernible pattern. They're spreading out across multiple orbital planes." Throck laughed. "Fools, they're making it easier for us. We'll pick them off one by one." He opened a channel to the human fleet. "Human Commander, this is General Throck of the Valdris Imperium. Your primitive tactics are amusing. Surrender now and I will make your deaths quick." On the human flagship, Commander Hyunwoo listened to the transmission. He didn't respond. There was no point. Words wouldn't change what happened next. Captain Jiwon was at her station coordinating with the other ships. Each vessel had a specific position, a specific target, a specific task. They had practiced this 1,000 times. Every movement was calculated. Every ship knew exactly what to do. "All ships in position," she reported. Hyunwoo nodded. "Weapon status." Lieutenant Daeho checked his display. "Kinetic rounds loaded. Railguns charged. EMP missiles ready. All ships report green." The Valdris fleet continued forward. 300 ships in a massive wall moving at combat speed. They were confident. They had won 1,000 battles this way. "Target lock achieved," Jiwon said. Her voice was steady. "All ships have their assignments. Timing synchronized." Hyunwoo watched the countdown on his display. The Valdris fleet was exactly where he needed them. The orbital mechanics were perfect. The angle of attack was optimal. Everything was ready. "Cascade protocol," he said. "Execute, 17 seconds." That's how long it took. The human ships fired simultaneously. Not at random. Not in a barrage. Each ship fired at specific targets with specific weapons at specific moments. The railguns fired first. Solid metal slugs accelerated to a fraction of light speed. They didn't aim for the Valdris ships' hulls. They aimed for power relays, weapon mounts, engine pods, surgical strikes. The EMP missiles followed 1 second later. Electromagnetic pulses that fried electronics without damaging the physical structure. The Valdris shields, designed to stop energy weapons and explosives, did nothing against them. Then came the kinetic drones. Thousands of small, fast-moving objects that swarmed the Valdris ships. They attached to sensor arrays, communication dishes, maneuvering thrusters. They didn't explode. They just stayed there, adding weight and disrupting balance. The final strike came from unexpected angles. Human ships had positioned themselves using gravity assists from planets and moons. They came from above and below, from directions the Valdris shields weren't oriented to defend. More precision strikes, more disabled systems. 17 seconds. When it ended, 300 Valdris warships floated in space, alive, intact, completely powerless. On the Valdris flagship, every system went dark. Emergency lights flickered on. General Throck stood in the sudden silence, his forearms frozen in shock. "Report," he roared. "Power cores offline," an officer said, his voice shaking. "Weapons offline. Engines offline. Communications offline. Sir, everything is offline." "How?" Throck demanded. "How did they do this?" No one answered. They didn't know. Sub-Commander Yaren, a tactical specialist, checked the damage reports coming from other ships. Her hands trembled as she read. "General, all ships report the same. No hull breaches. No casualties. But every major system is disabled. They targeted our infrastructure with perfect precision." Throck stared at her. "No casualties?" "None reported, sir." The general felt something he had never felt before. Fear. The humans hadn't tried to destroy them. They had simply stopped them. Like turning off a machine, Commander Hyunwoo opened a channel. This time his voice reached every Valdris ship. "Valdris fleet," he said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "You are no longer capable of combat. Your ships are intact. Your crews are unharmed. You have lost nothing except the ability to fight." General Throck grabbed a backup communicator. "You dare, General Throck?" Hyunwoo interrupted. "War is not about destruction. War is about removing your enemy's ability to continue. You can no longer fight. Therefore, this war is over. You cannot defeat the Imperium," Throck shouted. "We have thousands of ships. Millions of warriors." "I know," Hyunwoo said. "And if they come, we'll disable them too. But we'd prefer not to. Leave this system. Return to your Empress. Tell her what happened here. Tell her that humans don't want war. But if she forces us to fight, we will end it. Quickly." Human ships approached the Valdris vessels. They attached tow cables and began moving the disabled warships toward the edge of the system. The Valdris crews could only watch. On the Valdris flagship, Sub-Commander Yaren studied the battle data. She was a scientist before she was a soldier. She understood what she was seeing even if she couldn't believe it. "They knew everything," she whispered. "Our formation, our shield orientation, our power grid layout, our communication protocols. They knew exactly where to hit and when." General Throck said nothing. He stared at the screens showing human ships carefully, almost gently, pushing his fleet out of the system. Lieutenant Daiho watched the towing operation from his station. His friends, the ones who thought they would die, stood beside him. "We won," one of them said. "We actually won. Did you doubt it?" Daiho asked. "Yes," they all said together. Daiho smiled. Commander Hyunwoo studied the Valdris for 3 years. Captain Jiwon ran 2,000 simulations. We practiced Cascade Protocol for 6 months. We knew their tactics better than they did. "But 17 seconds?" an officer said. "How is that possible?" "Because we didn't try to destroy them," Daiho explained. "Destruction takes time. We just needed to stop them. That's much faster." At the edge of the system, the human ships released the Valdris fleet. They had repaired the most basic systems, enough for life support and slow travel back to Valdris space. Nothing more. Commander Hyunwoo made one final broadcast. "General Throck, you can go home now. Your crews are safe. Your ships will work well enough to get you there. Tell your Empress what you saw here. Tell her we want peace, but tell her also what happened when you didn't give us a choice." The Valdris fleet limped away, powered by emergency systems. 300 warships defeated without a single shot destroying them, without a single life lost. On the Galactic Council station, the news arrived like a shockwave. The battle was over. The humans had won. The Valdris fleet was retreating. Counselor Velthar accessed the battle data that human ships had broadcast. It was all there. Every moment recorded. Every action documented. He watched the 17-second battle 3 times. Then he began researching human history. What he found terrified him. Humans had been at war for their entire existence. They had fought over land, resources, ideas, and pride. They had developed weapons that could destroy their entire planet. They had nearly wiped themselves out a dozen times. But they had survived. And they had learned. They had learned strategy from thousands of conflicts. They had learned precision from centuries of technological warfare. They had learned efficiency from wars that cost millions of lives, and when they reached the stars, they brought all that knowledge with them. Velthar wrote a report. He sent it to every member of the Galactic Council. The title was simple: Why Humans Are Different. The conclusion was even simpler: they don't fight wars. They solve problems, and after 10,000 years, they're very good at it. Ambassador Minho read the report in his office. Hyunji stood beside him, still processing what had happened. "Did you know?" she asked. "Did you know we would win?" Minho nodded. "I knew we wouldn't lose. What's the difference?" "Losing means they destroy us," Minho said. "Winning means we stop them." "There are many ways to stop an enemy. Commander Hyunwoo chose the fastest one. Will the Valdris accept this?" Yunji asked. Minho's expression grew sad. "No, they won't. They'll see it as humiliation. They'll come back with more ships. Much more. Then what was the point?" "The point," Minho said quietly, "is that we gave them a chance. We showed them we don't want to destroy them. We showed them mercy. And if they don't take it," Minho looked out the window at the stars, "then we'll show them what happens when humans run out of mercy." Across the galaxy, Empress Valkyra received General Throck's report. She read it in silence. Then she read it again. Finally, she stood from her throne. "Prepare the Grand Armada," she said. "We will crush these humans ourselves." Her advisors looked at each other nervously. The Grand Armada was 3,000 ships, a fifth of their entire military power. "My Empress," one advisor ventured. "Perhaps we should study how they won. Learn their tactics." Valkyra's eyes burned. "I will teach them that humiliating the Valdris Imperium has consequences. Gather the fleet. We attack Earth itself." The message went out across Valdris space. The Grand Armada would mobilize. This time there would be no mercy. 3 weeks passed. In that time, the galaxy watched and waited. The Valdris Imperium mobilized its Grand Armada. 3,000 warships pulled from defensive positions across their empire. It was the largest military force assembled in 500 years. Every species knew where it was going. Earth. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Minho stood before the full assembly. Representatives from 200 species filled the chamber. They looked at him with expressions ranging from pity to fear. "Ambassador," the council speaker said, "the Valdris have made their intentions clear. They will attack your homeworld. We urge you to reconsider your position. Accept their terms. Save your people." Minho stood quietly for a moment. Then he spoke. "We cannot accept their terms. Why?" The speaker's voice was genuinely confused. "You won your first battle. You proved your point. Why continue this?" "Because surrendering now sends a message," Minho said. "It tells them that if they bring enough ships, we'll fold. It tells every empire in the galaxy that threats work. It makes the next war inevitable." "The next war?" An ambassador from a small species stood up. "You'll be extinct. There won't be a next war for you." Minho looked at him. "We've been to the edge of extinction before. We survived. We'll survive this too." Councillor Velthar spoke up from his seat. "Ambassador, I've studied your history. I know your people have endured terrible conflicts. But this is different. The Valdris have never lost a full-scale war, never." "I know," Minho said. "Then why?" Velthar's voice was desperate. "Why choose this?" Minho smiled sadly. "Because someone has to. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? The Valdris will keep demanding. Keep conquering. Keep threatening. Someone has to tell them no. Someone has to mean it. Even if it costs everything." Especially then, the chamber fell silent. Every representative understood what they were witnessing. The humans were going to fight. They were going to lose, and they were going to do it anyway. Minho turned to leave. Then he stopped and looked back. "I have one request. Please convince them to stop. Tell the Empress she doesn't want this. Tell her to turn back. Not for our sake, for hers." The words hung in the air as Minho left the chamber. The council speaker looked at Velthar. What did he mean? For her sake? Velthar was reading something on his datapad. His small hands trembled. "I don't know. But I'm going to find out." On Mars, Commander Hyunwoo met with Admiral Sujin. She was older than him, in her 60s. with white hair and scars from the old unification wars. She had commanded Earth's home fleet for 20 years. "They're bringing 3,000 ships," Sujin said. "They'll be here in 4 days. How many can we field?" Hyunwoo asked. 300. I pulled every available ship from the colonies. That's everything we have. 10 to 1 odds. Yes, Sujin said. She looked at him carefully. Can we win? Hyunwoo didn't answer immediately. He walked to the window and looked at Earth, hanging blue and beautiful in the black sky. We held back at New Seoul. We showed them we could win without killing. We gave them a warning. And they didn't listen. So now we show them what happens when we don't hold back. Sujin nodded slowly. The Empress will command the Armada herself. She's coming personally. To humiliate us, she's coming to Earth? Hyunwoo turned from the window. For the first time, his expression changed. The calm mask slipped. Not into fear, into something else. Something cold. Yes, Sujin said. She wants to watch Earth burn. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, she came to our home. Yes. Then she has no idea what we're capable of. Sujin leaned back. Show me. For the next hour, Hyunwoo explained the plan. When he finished, Sujin was quiet for a long time. That's not war, she finally said. That's something else entirely. Yes, we'll need perfect coordination. If even one element fails, it won't, Hyunwoo said. We've been preparing for this since we reached the stars. Every ship, every captain, every crew. They know what to do. Sujin studied him. You planned for this? For them to attack Earth? We planned for everything, Hyunwoo said. That's what humans do. We prepare, we adapt, we survive. Across the galaxy, Counselor Velthar worked frantically in his office. He had access to every database he could find about human history. What he discovered made him physically ill. Humans had fought over 400 major wars on their home planet. Thousands of smaller conflicts. They had developed weapons that could level cities. Bombs that could poison the air and water. Viruses that could kill millions. But that wasn't what frightened Velthar. What frightened him was how they fought. Every war taught them something new. Every defeat made them stronger. Every victory refined their tactics. They learned from enemies and allies alike. They studied, adapted, and improved constantly. By the time they developed space travel, they had 10,000 years of military experience. No other species had fought so much. No other species had learned so much from fighting. Velthar found records from Earth's unification wars, fought 200 years ago. The tactics used then were more advanced than anything the Valdris employed now. And that was ancient history to the humans. He wrote another report. This one was different, shorter, simpler. It had one line. The Valdris are attacking a species that has been at war for 10,000 years. They don't understand what that means. He sent it to the Valdris Empress directly. He knew she wouldn't read it. But he tried anyway. Captain Jiwon stood in a briefing room with 40 other ship captains. They were the best Earth had. Each one had commanded ships in combat. Each one had survived impossible situations. Admiral Sujin addressed them. The Valdris Grand Armada will arrive in 3 days. 3,000 ships. They will come to Sol system expecting to find a broken, desperate defense. They will expect us to cluster around Earth trying to protect it. She activated a holographic display. It showed the entire solar system. We will not do that. Instead, we will use every planet, every moon, every asteroid, every comet. The entire system is our battlefield. They think space combat means ship-to-ship fighting. We're going to teach them different. One captain raised his hand. Admiral, 10 to 1 odds. Even with the system on our side. I know the math, Sujin said. But they don't know the system like we do. This is our home. We were born here. We know every orbital path, every gravitational field, every hiding spot. They're walking into our house. And we're going to show them what that means, Jiwon spoke up. What about the Empress? Sujin's expression hardened. She's commanding from her dreadnought. The Valdris, biggest ship in their fleet. She wants to watch. Then let's give her something to watch, Jiwon said. The briefing continued for 6 hours. Every ship received assignments. Every captain memorized positions, timing, and fallback plans. There were no written orders. Nothing that could be intercepted or decoded. It was all in their heads. That's how humans had done it for 10,000 years. On the Valdris flagship, Empress Valkyra reviewed the battle plan with her generals. The Grand Armada was 1 day from Sol system. Everything was ready. We will emerge from faster-than-light travel here. General Throck indicated a position near Jupiter. We'll form the Grand Wall formation and advance directly on Earth. They cannot stand against us. What about their tricks? Another general asked. At New Sol, they disabled our fleet in seconds. We've adapted, Throck said. Redundant systems. Hardened electronics. Better shield coverage. They won't surprise us again. Valkyra listened in silence. She was certain of victory. 3,000 ships against 300. It was inevitable. When we reach Earth, she said, I want their military command destroyed first. Then their industrial centers. Then their cities. I want them to watch their world burn. Yes, my Empress, the generals said together. And the human commander? The one called Hyunwoo? We will capture him, Throck promised. He will witness his world's destruction. Then he will die, Valkyra smiled. Good. On Earth, in a small apartment in Seoul, Hyunwoo's daughter watched the news. She was 14, old enough to understand what was happening. Old enough to be afraid. Her mother sat beside her. Your father will protect us. But there are so many of them, the girl said. Her mother hugged her. Your father has never lost a battle. Not once. There's a first time for everything. Not this time, her mother said firmly. Trust him. In orbit above Earth, Hyunwoo stood on his flagship's bridge. His crew worked quietly around him. Everyone knew what was coming. Lieutenant Daeho approached. Sir, all ships report ready. Defensive positions set. Surprise packages deployed. Good, Hyunwoo said. Sir? Daeho hesitated. They outnumber us 10-1. I know. We held back at New Sol. We showed mercy. We proved we could win without killing. Daeho's voice was quiet. What happens if they don't stop? Hyunwoo looked at him. His eyes were hard. Then we show them what humans are really capable of. We show them what 10,000 years of war taught us. We show them why they should have listened. Will we win? We will survive, Hyunwoo said. That's what humans do best. We survive, and we make sure the people who threaten us regret it. He turned back to the display showing the solar system. His home, his world, his family. They're coming to Earth, he said softly. They have no idea what a mistake that is. The countdown began. 24 hours until the Grand Armada arrived. Earth prepared for war. The Grand Armada arrived at exactly 800 hours Earth Standard Time. 3,000 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter. The formation was perfect. A wall of metal and weapons stretching across space. On the Valdris flagship, Empress Valkyra stood on her command deck. The view screens showed the solar system spread before her. 8 planets, countless moons, and somewhere in there 300 human ships. Scan for the enemy fleet, she ordered. The tactical officer worked his console. Sensors detecting human ships throughout the system, my Empress. They're not concentrated. They're scattered. Scattered? Valkyra frowned. Show me. The display lit up. Human ships appeared as red dots. They were everywhere. Some near Mars, others near Venus. A group hiding in the asteroid belt, several behind Saturn's rings. More near Earth, but not as many as expected. General Throck studied the positions. They've divided their forces. Foolish. We can destroy them piece by piece. Or it's a trap, Valkyra said quietly. My Empress. Throck protested. We outnumber them 10-1. What trap could possibly... At New Sol, they disabled 300 ships in 17 seconds, without destroying a single one. That requires planning, knowledge, precision. Valkyra's eyes narrowed. They know something we don't. Then we'll be careful, Throck said. We'll advance slowly. Test their defenses. No, Valkyra decided. We'll do what they don't expect. Split our forces. Send groups to destroy each cluster of human ships. Overwhelming force at every point. They can't defend everywhere at once, the orders went out. The Grand Armada split into 10 groups. Each group had 300 ships. Each group targeted a cluster of human vessels. On the human flagship near Mars, Admiral Sujin watched the Valdris fleet divide. She smiled grimly. They took the bait. Commander Hyunwoo stood beside her. They're used to fighting in formation. It's all they know. They don't understand mobile warfare. Let's teach them, Sujin said. She opened the command channel. All ships, Phase 1, execute. The human ships moved not away from the Valdris, toward them. But not directly. They used the planets. Ships near Mars swung around the planet using gravity to accelerate. Ships near Venus did the same. Ships in the asteroid belt disappeared into the rocks, then emerged at different angles. Ships behind Saturn's rings accelerated through the rings, using the ice and dust as cover. Every human ship used the solar system itself as a weapon. The Valdris group approaching Mars found themselves chasing human ships that were always just out of range. The humans would appear, fire precisely at specific targets, then disappear behind the planet. The Valdris ships tried to follow, but the orbital mechanics were against them. By the time they rounded the planet, the human ships were somewhere else. Near Venus, the Valdris group encountered something worse. Human ships lured them close to the planet, then retreated. The Valdris gave chase. By the time they realized the danger, Venus's gravity had them. They had to burn fuel and energy just to escape the planet's pull. When they finally broke free, the human ships attacked their weakened shields. In the asteroid belt, the Valdris couldn't find their targets. Human ships hid in the rocks, moved through narrow gaps, and struck from unexpected angles. The Valdris tried to blast the asteroids, but there were millions of them. Every shot wasted energy. Every moment wasted time. Behind Saturn, the battle was chaos. Human ships dove through the rings, using the ice particles to confuse sensors. They emerged above and below, hitting the Valdris ships from every direction. The Valdris tried to pursue into the rings, but their larger ships couldn't maneuver through the debris. 3 collided with larger ice chunks and had to withdraw. In the command center on Earth, military analysts tracked every battle simultaneously. The displays showed the entire solar system. Red dots for Valdris ships, blue dots for human ships. The red dots outnumbered the blue ones everywhere, but the blue dots were winning. They're using everything, one analyst said in awe. Gravity assists, orbital mechanics, natural cover. They're fighting 3-dimensional warfare across billions of kilometers. It's beautiful, another analyst whispered. On the Valdris flagship, Empress Valkara watched her groups struggle. They were winning slowly, but they were taking damage. Not ship losses yet, but damaged systems, depleted energy reserves. Confused crews, pull back the assault groups, she ordered. Reform the Grand Wall. We advance together on Earth. The Valdris ships withdrew from their scattered battles. They regrouped near Jupiter. The formation reformed. 3,000 ships minus the 100 or so too damaged to continue. Still overwhelming odds now, Valkara said coldly. We end this. Full speed to Earth. Destroy everything in our path. The Grand Armada accelerated toward the inner system. Admiral Sujin watched them come. Phase 2, she said calmly. The human ships stopped running. All 300 of them moved to new positions. Not around Earth. Between Earth and the Sun, what are they doing? Valkara demanded as she watched the human formation. They're putting themselves between us and their planet. It's a defensive line. Standard tactic, but General Throck looked uncertain. My Empress, their positioning is strange. They're arranged in a specific pattern. Not random. So? Valkara said. It doesn't matter. Advance. Destroy them. The Grand Armada continued forward. The distance closed. 1 million kilometers. 500,000. 200,000. The human ships didn't fire. They just waited 100,000 kilometers. Fire. Valkara commanded. The Valdris fleet unleashed everything. Thousands of weapons firing simultaneously. Energy beams, missiles, projectiles. A wave of destruction heading toward the human line. That's when the human ships moved. They didn't scatter. They shifted positions. Just slightly. Precisely calculated movements. The incoming fire passed through the spaces where they had been. Most of it missed. And behind the human fleet, the sun erupted. Solar flares triggered by carefully placed gravity bombs burst from the sun's surface. Massive waves of radiation and plasma. The human ships were positioned to avoid them, shielded by their careful arrangement. The Valdris fleet was not. The radiation storm hit the Grand Armada like a hammer. Shields overloaded. Electronics fried. Ships went dark by the hundreds. Impossible, Valkara screamed. They weaponized a star. Secondary wave incoming, a Valdris officer shouted. The human ships fired. Not at the Valdris ships. At debris fields they had positioned weeks ago. Old satellites. Asteroid fragments. Junk metal. The impact sent the debris flying toward the disabled Valdris vessels at high speed. More ships went dark as the projectiles destroyed sensors, weapons, and engines. Commander Hyunwoo watched from his flagship. They're confused, disorganized. Captain Ji-won, take your team. You know what to do, Ji-won smiled. Yes, sir. 5 human ships detached from the main fleet. Small, fast. They accelerated toward the Valdres flagship. Inside the Valdres Eye, alarms blared. The massive dreadnought was intact, its powerful shields protecting it from the solar storm. But the smaller ships approaching were too fast to target easily. Destroy them, Valkyra ordered. The dreadnought's weapons tracked the approaching vessels. But the human ships moved like nothing the Valdres had seen. They twisted, dove, and spiraled. Every movement was calculated. Every maneuver pushed their ships to the limit. Ji-won piloted her ship personally. Behind her, her crew worked with perfect coordination. Boarding trajectory calculated. Hull breach in 3, 2, 1. Her ship slammed into the dreadnought's outer hull, cutting lasers opened a hole. Her team, 50 specially trained soldiers, poured into the enemy ship. The Valdres guards tried to stop them. The humans were faster, better trained. They moved through the corridors like water, flowing around resistance, eliminating threats with precise efficiency. It took them 20 minutes to reach the command deck. The doors exploded inward. Ji-won walked through, weapon ready. Her team secured the room in seconds. Valdres officers were disarmed and moved to the walls. Guards were neutralized before they could react. Empress Valkyra stood in the center of the command deck, defiant. You dare board my flagship? Ji-won lowered her weapon slightly. We dare to end this war, Empress. Look at your fleet. The view screens showed the battle. Of 3,000 Valdres ships, 90% were disabled. Some were destroyed. Most were just dead in space, crews alive but ships powerless. The human fleet had taken casualties too. 30 ships destroyed, 50 more damaged, but they were still fighting. Still moving. Still winning. You've lost, Ji-won said simply. Never, Valkyra hissed. Even if you destroy this fleet, the Imperium has more. We will send 10,000 ships, 100,000. We will bury you in numbers. Ji-won pulled out a data pad. This contains detailed analysis of your attack. Every mistake you made. Every weakness we exploited. Every moment we could have destroyed your ships but chose to disable them instead. She set it on the command console. Study it. Understand it. We could have killed everyone in your fleet. We didn't. Even now, after you brought 3,000 ships to our home, we're showing you mercy. Mercy? Valkyra laughed bitterly. This is humiliation. No, Ji-won said quietly. Humiliation would be leaving you here to die. We're not going to do that. She looked at the Valdres officers. We're going to repair enough of your ships to get you home. Life support. Basic engines. Nothing else. 6 months after the Battle of Seoul, the galaxy was different. The news had spread everywhere. The humans defeated the Grand Armada, 3,000 ships against 300. The impossible had happened. And the humans did it without trying to destroy their enemy. That last part confused everyone. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Minho stood before a packed chamber. Every species wanted to hear from Earth's representative. Some came to praise, some came to seek protection, some came to understand. Ambassador Minho, the council speaker said, your people have changed the balance of power in this galaxy. What are your intentions? Minho looked around the chamber. Our intentions are the same as they've always been. We want peace. We want trade. We want cooperation. You destroyed the most powerful military in the galaxy, an ambassador said. And you claim you want peace? We didn't destroy them, Minho corrected. We defeated them. There's a difference. Most of their ships were disabled, not destroyed. Most of their crews survived. We showed them they couldn't win, then we let them go home. Another ambassador stood. But why? You had them beaten. You could have ended the Valdres threat forever. And then what? Minho asked. We destroy their fleet. Their species loses their military, another empire moves in to conquer them. The violence continues, just with different players. He shook his head. We want to break the cycle. Not continue it, Councillor Velthar spoke up. You're proposing something radical. A new way of thinking about conflict. Yes, Minho said. We call them the Seoul Accords. Rules of engagement based on precision, not destruction. The goal isn't to annihilate your enemy. It's to make them stop fighting. Quickly, efficiently, with minimum casualties on both sides. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species supported the idea. Others thought it was naive. Many simply didn't understand. You expect empires to follow these rules? A skeptical ambassador asked. Why would they limit their own power? Because the alternative is worse, Minho said quietly. If you force a war, you face an enemy that might use the Sol Accords. And if they do, you lose quickly but survive. Or you face an enemy that doesn't use them, and the war becomes long, bloody, and costly for everyone. He paused. Most species will choose the quick defeat over the long bloodbath. It's logical. And if they don't? The ambassador pressed. Minho's expression hardened. Then they learn the hard way, like the Valdris did. In the Valdris Imperium, things were falling apart. The Grand Armada had returned home defeated and broken. The news spread quickly. The invincible empire had been beaten. Badly. The subject species saw their chance. Rebellions erupted across Valdris space. Colonies declared independence. Allied species broke their treaties. The empire that had stood for 50,000 years was crumbling. Empress Valkara sat in her throne room, now guarded by half the soldiers she once had. Reports of rebellions came daily. Her generals argued about how to respond. Her advisors suggested surrender. We still have 2,000 ships, one general insisted. We can crush these rebellions, and then what? Another general countered. The humans proved our tactics are obsolete. Our formations are predictable. Our strategies are old. We need to change. Change? Valkara said coldly. You want us to copy the humans? I want us to survive, the general said. The humans offered us mercy twice. They could have destroyed us. They didn't. Maybe we should listen to what they're trying to teach us. Valkara was silent. She thought about the data pad Captain G1 had left. She had studied it, obsessively. Every mistake the Valdris made, every weakness the humans exploited, every moment the humans could have killed them but chose not to. It was humiliating. And it was educational. What do they want? She finally asked. The humans. What do they really want? Peace, an advisor said. They've said it repeatedly. They don't want more territory. They don't want tribute. They just want to be left alone. Then why fight so hard? Valkara demanded. Because, the advisor said carefully, they learned something in their long history. If you don't stand up to bullies, they never stop. They prove they can fight. Now they're proving they prefer not to. Valkara closed her eyes. She was 300 years old. She had ruled for 2 centuries. She had conquered worlds. But she had never been defeated until now. Contact the human ambassador, she said quietly. Tell him the Imperium wishes to discuss terms. On Mars, Admiral Sujin reviewed reports in her office. Commander Hyunwoo sat across from her. He had been promoted to Admiral after the Battle of Sol. He didn't want the promotion, but Earth Command insisted. 37 species have requested military training, Sujin said. They want to learn our tactics, our strategies, how we fight. What did you tell them? Hyunwoo asked. That will teach them, but only defensive tactics. We won't teach them how to conquer. Only how to protect. Hyunwoo nodded. Good, that's the right approach. The Valdris are collapsing, Sujin continued. Multiple rebellions. Their empire is breaking apart. Expected, Hyunwoo said. Fear held them together. Once we showed that fear was misplaced, their subjects saw the truth. The Valdris aren't invincible. The Empress wants to negotiate. Hyunwoo looked up. Does she? Yes, she's asking for terms. She wants to know what we want from her. What do we want? Hyunwoo asked. Sujin smiled slightly. That's what I'm asking you. You defeated her twice. You understand her military better than anyone. What should we demand? Hyunwoo thought for a long moment. Nothing. Nothing? We demand nothing, Hyunwoo said. We offer something instead. We offer to help stabilize her empire. Not through force. Through example. We show her how to maintain peace without constant conquest, how to lead without terror, how to be strong without being cruel. You want to help our enemy? Sujin asked. I want to end the cycle, Hyunwoo said. The Valdris conquered because they were strong. Others conquered because they wanted to be like the Valdris. Round and round. Someone has to break the pattern. If we do it through example, it lasts longer than if we do it through force. Sujin leaned back. You're more of a diplomat than you think. I'm tired of fighting, Hyunwoo admitted. We all are. Every human who has studied our history knows where constant warfare leads. Exhaustion, destruction, loss. We finally have a chance to show the galaxy there's another way. We should take it. In the Galactic Council chambers, the Sol Accords were being debated. It had been 3 months of discussion. Every species had opinions. Every empire had concerns. Ambassador Minho stood with Counselor Velthar. The small alien had become humanity's strongest advocate. They're going to vote against it, Velthar said sadly. Too many species fear change. They'd rather keep the old ways, even if the old ways mean constant war. Then we implement it ourselves, Minho said. Earth and any species that wants to join us. We create a defensive alliance based on the Accords. Others will see it works. They'll join eventually, and if they don't, then at least we tried, Minho said. That's all we can do. Show the example. Hope others follow. The vote came. The Sol Accords were rejected by the full council. 200 species voted no. 40 voted yes. 5 abstained, but something unexpected happened. The 40 species that voted yes immediately formed their own alliance, the Defensive Coalition, based on human military doctrine, based on the principle of ending wars quickly and mercifully. Within weeks, 10 more species joined, then 20 more, then 50. The old empires watched nervously. This new alliance didn't conquer, didn't demand tribute, didn't threaten. They just defended their members with devastating efficiency. Any aggressor found themselves defeated in days, not years. Defeated but not destroyed. Sent home with clear messages. Aggression doesn't work anymore. 1 year after the Battle of Sol, Captain Jiwan received a strange assignment. She was to travel to the Valdris homeworld. Not with a fleet. Just her small ship and a single team. When she arrived, she was escorted to the palace. Empress Valkara met her in a private chamber. No guards, no advisors. Just 2 military commanders. Captain Jiwan, Valkara said. You boarded my flagship. Defeated my guards. Held me captive. Why did you let me live? Jiwan sat down. Because killing you would have solved nothing. Your empire would have continued. Someone else would have taken your throne. The cycle would continue. And you wanted to break the cycle. Yes. Valkara was quiet. Then she said, I've spent the last year studying your tactics. Your history. Your way of thinking. Do you know what I've learned? What? That humans are terrifying, Valkara said. Not because you're strong, but because you know how to end things. Permanently. You don't fight wars of attrition. You don't fight for glory. You fight to solve problems. And once a problem is solved, you move on. No occupation. No revenge. No endless conflict. You just stop. She leaned forward. That's what terrifies me. Your discipline. Your restraint. Your ability to win without destroying your enemy. It's unnatural. It's learned, Jiwan corrected. We fought each other for 10,000 years. We learned every lesson the hard way. We learned that revenge breeds more war. That occupation breeds rebellion. That conquest breeds resentment. So we developed a different approach. End the threat. Offer mercy. Move forward. Teach me, Valkara said suddenly. Jiwan blinked. What? Teach me. Teach my military. Show us how you think, how you plan, how you win without destroying. The Empress's voice was intense.